Cool. All right. We had a plan for this one, I remember. What was the plan?
We didn't have a plan.
I thought we had a plan because we said, oh, yeah, we'll just do it and we'll bang out a 30-minute show. We have an idea. And
that's as much of a plan as we had.
That was the plan?
Yeah. But I have thought about something that we could talk about.
What do you got? The paper that we're doing?
No.
Oh, okay.
Career stages at Microsoft, career developer path.
I was on a live TikTok yesterday playing Hollow Knight, and someone said that they just got principal at Microsoft. Congratulations to that person. And they wanted to know like what they should do, like what their career stage progression should be, and if the only way to move up was management.
Yeah. Thoughts?
I think the challenge is that people don't recognize there is luck. And I don't mean luck in like being called to serve and okay, oh, you're awesome. Here, I'll promote you. But like sometimes you get good projects, sometimes you don't. Sometimes your projects get canceled and sometimes they don't. So
Yeah.
I acknowledge that there is, like I hitched my wagon to .NET and there was some luck involved in that.
So I thought you were saying the problem with us talking about this is that, but now you're just, seems like that's a great thing to point to discuss. If we do
let's do it. Let's do it. Career stages.
Well, but you think it's, because I said, what do you think of that topic? And then you said, well, the problem is blah, 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 blah.
Oh, well, I apologize. I always put everything as the problem is. It is, the challenge is that you want to give good advice. This podcast, when you talk to people, but it is, advice is not a guarantee of success. Sure. And that's the challenge. Like not everyone gets promoted, and that is challenging. There's the myth of the meritocracy is a larger concept.
Yeah.
But I like the idea of career stages, and within the context of the paper that we're doing that we're not going to talk about, the idea of when does that feeling of seniorness happen, and when does that feeling of I can now lead a team happen? And I remember how I went through it in the 90s, so it still feels raw.
Well, so I think we'll have to lean on you because I had a very unorthodox path that
you did.
So I didn't go through career stages at Microsoft. I see them, I approve them, I nurture them, but I don't.
Have you pretty much been the same level since you got acquired?
I came in as a CVP, as a TF.
That's a pretty sweet gig if you can get it.
Yeah.
So I came in at senior at a 63, but it was 18 years ago. And what I think is interesting about it is that I was the chief architect at a publicly traded company with 400 engineers, and I came in as a 63.
Yeah.
And then people will tell you, like, well, you came in, for people who don't know, Microsoft
you must have interviewed poorly.
Layers. What's that?
You must have interviewed poorly.
Probably, yeah. I think it was probably when I went through you and Don Box, and they were like, this guy, and they dropped me a couple of.
Did I interview you?
No, you didn't interview. You didn't even remember. No, you did not. But the leveling is challenging. And you can go to levels.fyi. It's a really great website where you can put stacks of levels and level ranges and level bands alongside Amazon and Meta and all the other tech companies and stuff like that. But like, how does one indicate career stages? Now at Microsoft, we have this website, which is the Career Stage Profiles website that actually describes how one solves problems or one is expected to solve problems at different levels and the level of independence that one has. And I usually have thought about it in like a junior engineer does good work and a senior engineer helps junior engineers do good work and a principal level engineer helps the division do good work. Partner level engineers set the tone, set the architecture for the larger division. So your scope increases the higher you get. But Microsoft and big tech in general make these moments, these kind of like artificial, like, okay, you're moving from engineer 2 to senior, and there's like the pregnant pause, or you're moving to principal, which is largely considered like one of the biggest promos that someone can get. I don't know if you're ready. Like these kind of weird, squishy conversations can be really challenging.
Well, I think that, I mean, it sounds like what you're saying is there's really a gradual progression.
100%.
But I don't think that's the case when it comes to being recognized with a promotion.
Okay, let's have that conversation.
Well, partner is one of the most coveted bands to get into.
Yeah, it's terminal for many people. It's a big deal.
It's
Yeah.
a small fraction of the company
Mhm.
gets to partner level. And one of the defining properties of being a partner is that you're having broad scope influence.
Yep.
And you mentioned, I think your levels of scope and influence were a little more aggressive than what I consider it. Like partner, I see is now you're working across your larger product group and likely interacting with other product groups to accomplish things. So
Absolutely.
you're starting to work across the company.
Yep. Yep. You're
At
visible
partner level.
across
Yeah.
divisions. You're bringing people together. You're
Well,
seeing
I wouldn't even say it's
patterns.
across divisions, though. It doesn't necessarily have to be. It's just you show the ability to work from your silo across other teams that your silo interacts with, that depends on and has to collaborate with, or they depend on you
Yep.
to get things done.
Yep.
That's just one of the kind of simple definition of partner. But I think that like you can continue to become be a great developer and grow in skills and mentor people but never get to that level because you're just you don't have the opportunity to do it.
Right.
Like you said, some of this is just luck and positioning yourself so that you do have the opportunities to go to a next level. And then there's also the IC route, which is I'm just going to become the most awesome expert at the area that I'm in. And it happens to be a very strategic area and there's very few experts. And that is also a path to get to senior levels as a developer.
Yep. Yep.
Where you're not even necessarily running across, other product groups or the division or the company.
Right. And if you're a developer, there's I'm going to be a top 1% developer and I'm going to sling more code, faster code, better code, and invent new concepts, new ideas, new businesses as an individual contributor. And then there's I am a developer or an engineering manager who is able to get herd cats to do same. Those are very different things. Like developer managers, engineering managers are very different than the mythical 10x developer that I'm not a huge fan of that topic.
I also think it's important to point out that just because you plateau at a level doesn't mean that you're failing. And we've got examples of people that are publicly known figures at Microsoft that have been here for 30 years that have plateaued in level, but they're still very productive and very impactful. It's just that they don't have the ambition to move to take down that bigger scope. They're happy doing what they're doing. And so that's where they are.
Yeah. And people ask them, they'll call that a terminal level. Like principal is a perfectly reasonable terminal level because the responsibility and the throat to choke, who's the person that gets in trouble when something goes wrong. It happens to everybody.
Yeah, that's
when things happen, when someone gets in trouble and who's going to own that, that happens at the higher levels. And I've had situations where I've had to be the spokesperson or the one who apologizes for stuff that a vendor did or something that had nothing to do with me, but I'm ultimately the one that set the system up.
Yeah.
That's an uncomfortable position, and not everyone wants to do that. Some people just want to write some code and have fun doing it. I think that one thing that doesn't get talked about enough is the importance of communication. It's one thing to be a person who can write code and express intent to the computer accurately, but then also being to express intent to your coworkers in a way that makes what you're trying to accomplish well understood.
Well, we touched on this in our influence, right?
Yep.
Episode where if you're not able to communicate, that's going to severely cripple your effectiveness because you become a one-man shop as opposed to building on top of the work of others and getting them to come along with you and contribute.
Yeah. When someone is doing work for you,
or
I assume
rather one person shop, I should say.
One person shop, indeed. Yeah. When you assign tasks, you speak clearly. You say, I need XYZ done. You give them a scope and an amount of time to get it done. How do you think about people who work for you and how they move through their careers? And when you say someone's ready to be promoted, is the promo a reward for doing something or for executing reliably N times? And N+1 means now you get promoted?
This is it's an art, not a science, deciding when somebody's ready. Mm-hmm. And it also, you have to have business need too. That's a key aspect of promotions at Microsoft.
Yep.
Like, does the role that they're in warrant that level of seniority, because it's tough to move somebody into a partner band if they're not in a role to execute at partner level.
Yeah, totally agree. And I think that's something that people need to understand. I'll make up a thing. I'm sure there's a person who owns this, but let's just pretend, because I know the guy who used to own it.
Yeah.
The volume control in Windows. So you're the Dev 2 or the PM 2, which is a one level below senior, who owns the volume control. And you're killing it. And the audience loves it. And it's reliable. And it has 0 crashes. And it does what it needs to do. Great. Can that get you senior and principal and partner and VP? You're not going to be the VP of the volume control.
Yeah.
That's where you need to start looking laterally for additional scope. Maybe it's the audio subsystem. Maybe it's new innovative ways of thinking about inputs and outputs and software-based audio routing. Like, what you have to go start looking for problems. Have you ever heard this idea that at the principal level, you're looking for problems and bringing problems and solutions to management rather than waiting around for tasks?
Yeah. Yeah, good point on that one. One of the questions that I'm sure you get a lot, and actually you've had it because we've discussed it, is ICs and those distinguished titles that we've got.
Yeah.
And what you need to do to get them. And you talked about this too, to move up in levels of developer, do you need to be a manager? Well, we want to say, no, you don't have to be a manager to raise in level at Microsoft. And we've got these distinguished titles that are specifically incent individual contributions at the highest levels. Those are distinguished engineer and technical fellow. Not to say you can't get to those levels with a team, but it's hard because what we're looking for is individual innovation that has impact. And it's the one case where we don't, we're focused on recognizing the individual talent, as opposed to you get rewarded a lot of times because you've done a great job with the team and you have other people saying you're doing a great job because you're helping everybody. And that's generally a requirement to get promoted. But in these special cases, these distinctive titles, actually, we want to see the individual innovation. We want to see you being the leader, you being the thought leader, you being the hands-on person that made something happen. And that kind of ties with what you were talking about earlier, a question of, do you need to actually do something to get a promotion? And I'm sure you have had this, and I'm curious to hear any special cases where you're saying, well, you've done the last few years, you've done solid work, you've gotten above it, target impact in the work, which means that you're excelling. And they're saying, okay, so am I ready for promotion? And you're like, well, this one project, it will have huge impact, and it's not quite there yet, or we haven't quite seen if it has the impact. And because one of the things that we're told is don't reward based on activity, reward based on action. So just because you shipped something, if that's a small factor in promotion discussion, it's that thing you shipped, did it actually change things in a positive way? Did it generate more revenue? Did it raise customer satisfaction? Did it get Microsoft into more accounts? That impact factor has to be there.
Yeah. And the expectations of impact factor increase as you get higher. Like, I felt that I had a great year this year as an example. I did specific things. I had a list of tasks. They all got done. But at my level, they're like, yeah, do
great.
the thing.
Yeah, you're doing a good job. Yeah.
So I'm like, man, why didn't I get exceeded expectations? It's because the expectations were high.
Yeah.
And I did them. So it's challenging to exceed expectations the higher up you get. And we try to tell people that as they make those next level things, is that it is a kind of, and I don't like this word, but it's a co-opetition. There is implicit competition with your peers, but you're competing within this larger band. And when, Anna and Bob are over here doing something revolutionary, they've launched a whole new product and it's on the front page of everything and everyone's talking about it. People can feel left behind if they're, working on the volume control on Windows. Yeah. So you have to look for innovation in your space to balance out. Do you think right now people are worried, not just at Microsoft, but everywhere, that if it's not AI, then I'm not going to get promoted?
I don't see that, actually.
You don't see that?
Yeah.
Because I think people would say conventional wisdom is, if you're not doing that, then that's a problem. But I think engineering fundamentals, security fundamentals, stability and reliability are just as important, and people should be rewarded for that
Well,
as
not
well.
just as important. What's the number one priority for Microsoft?
Security,
What's number two?
reliability.
Yeah. Number three?
Uh, I don't know. Number three, I was
AI.
AI.
Yeah.
Or maybe AI was fourth.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's challenging because you don't see things on the front page of whatever magazine, security and reliability. Like it's all about AI. But you're absolutely right. I'm glad I got those right.
Yeah, that was good. I'm impressed.
Could have gone badly for me.
So it could have really badly. I would public embarrassment and shaming.
Oh yeah, and more than usual.
Yeah. So you touched on the, hey, do I need to manage to rise in levels as a developer? And I get asked this all the time. I'm sure you do too. And you probably asked it as you rose up through Microsoft.
Yeah.
And I see it as a trade-off. Like if you manage, you can actually you've got direct influence as opposed to indirect influence that we talked about before if you're an IC.
Yep.
An IC, you're indirectly influencing, but you get to remain almost purely technical and hands-on in a way that as you're growing in seniority in the management track, you can't. And so, like I said, we want to encourage people to senior developers to stay focused on senior architecture and senior implementation. And so we've got these titles to show that Microsoft recognizes the value of that and wants to encourage it.
Mm-hmm.
And like I said, those are Distinguished Engineer and Technical Fellow. By the way, David Fowler just published a YouTube video interview.
Oh, yeah, interviewed. Yeah.
Yeah, he got interviewed. And he's a Distinguished Engineer. And he talks about his career growth at Microsoft. And he's an IC. It was a great interview because he touches on a lot of these things that we're talking about.
And he came what's significant about David Fowler is he came directly out of college as a level 59 and as an intern. So he has seen everything and has experienced it. And it's also worth noting, and maybe you can speak to this, because he is or maybe began the new generation of distinguished engineer, because as I understand it, a lot of distinguished engineers were like somewhat academic, or they would ship a thing but also publish a paper on a thing. But David is not known for publishing academic papers. His work is in the open source space.
So I came in as a technical fellow and so saw what the titling criteria was back in 2006 and have seen it evolve over time, and then was part of the reboot of it in like 2018, 2017, where Satya and Kevin Scott said, hey, we want to refine what it means to get these titles. So I was part of coming up with the new definition, and now I'm on what's the custodian. I'm one of the custodians for the titles. So me and several other TFs from across the company evaluate the nominations and make recommendations to Kevin to approve them or decline them. And one of the things that we saw was happening in the early days of Microsoft is it was very much, you're an engineer, you're a 10, well, we don't like the term 10x, but you're effectively a super highly productive engineer providing a lot of impact and value. And so we'll recognize you as the Distinguished Engineer title or the Technical Fellow title, which typically meant you're having just enormous, like you're a core part of defining what Windows is. And you're kind of very unique in the value that you're providing for products.
And for context, there's how many DEs and TFs? There's like 12 TFs and like 50 DEs?
No, it's significantly more than that now. So there's probably 35-ish TFs and probably 50 DEs.
Out of 300,000 employees. So it's pretty lofty. Yeah. It's a couple orders of magnitude.
But with the reboot, what they wanted to say was, like I described it, focus on individual innovation and impact. So and we see all forms of this. Again, it's not a science, it's an art to say, is that the case? For somebody like David Fowler, he came up with Signal R, he's worked on .NET, he's done a lot of impactful things that weren't academic publications, but hugely impactful to the developer division and our application platform, and shows just innovation and creativity, and he gets things done and clears the obstacles and does it, and has just been working at it that way for a long time. So sustained impact. So those kinds of factors, and he gets great recommendations from other people, referrals from other people that say he's a great person to work with, and we love him, and he's had huge impact. that kind of all rolls up. And then we have people that are more academic. They make a contribution in some much more narrow way. A kind of interesting thing is that Leslie Lamport,
Yeah.
A lot of people probably recognize that name. He's come up with one of the most fundamental concurrency protocols if, for logical clocks synchronization. He's had just monstrous impact on the industry, so much that he was awarded a Turing Award.
Yeah. And he's been doing this since like the
Yeah.
late 1960s. I
Yeah.
had him on my podcast.
Oh yeah,
He's an ACM fellow.
Yeah, and he actually retired from Microsoft about a year ago now,
Mhm.
but he retired as a distinguished engineer, not even a technical fellow.
Wow.
And it's
Kind of
because,
disrespectful.
yeah. But I just want to point out that it's a bunch of factors, like how much did it directly impact Microsoft? How much of that innovation was at Microsoft while he was here?
That's a valid point. Well, he's a technical fellow from the ACM, the Association of Computing Machinery perspective, but at Microsoft, maybe he didn't ship something in Windows.
Yeah.
And you know that I have always had an aspiration to end my career with the title Distinguished Engineer, but my challenge is that I am not in the engineering track. I'm a technical program manager. So I would need to switch tracks and invent something or do something or dramatically change in order to get that moniker. Even though my level is the same from a HR perspective, this is a special thing for people of a certain track to have. It's quite unique.
Yeah. And even people in that track, it's not like everybody in the track gets it, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's something to aspire to.
Yeah, indeed.
And one of the things that I think we struggled with was the change, this reboot, which we still feel today, even from people that are familiar with the old way of doing things at Microsoft, the old way these titles were awarded, which is you could have a senior person who's technical, who's running a large org, and that org is shipping great product and has innovations in it. This person is seen as a very technical manager. This person can get down into the guts of an architecture and actually point things out and make recommendations and might even be directly hands-on with it. Yet that's not, and in the past that would have been, that's a distinguished engineer when they got to the right level. And these are tied basically as having minimum levels for the title, meaning you've had this kind of impact, you would have been at that level for the impact itself. Now this title is coming on top as recognizing these special individual innovation. They would have been in the past at Microsoft before the reboot of the titling been awarded these titles of DE or TF because of that deep technical management. And that's no longer the case. Now that person, you're getting rewarded through their promotion to level 70 VP or level 80. And by the way, the VP title came out of our reboot because we said, hey, a lot of developers they go for DE because that's visible. And otherwise the promotion to level 70 is not visible. Wasn't visible. And so it's we decided to just make that formally visible, that level 70 as the VP level. To release the pressure on, I've got to have DE because I want people to know that I'm
that I'm at that level.
Yeah.
How do you, maybe this is too spicy for the podcast as we get towards the end here, but how does one prevent people feeling like promotions or titles or both are popularity contests? Because when you rebooted this, you needed to come up with a way to express that this is not, that person seems cool, let's promote them.
Yeah.
It's got to be, quantifiable.
Well, one of the things that we do is look for as much objective evidence as possible that they're having that impact themselves. And there's some examples of materials that not everybody has, but are great supporting materials for making a case. This person has had individual technical innovation and impact with it is patents, research papers, internal architecture documents that they've and we're looking for primary authorship on them. Not like you're part of a team, and you're one of 10 people that did that patent or did that. We want to see, hey, your name was first on a lot of them. That it's really you. And the other one is references from other experts in the domain that you're working in. So typically, DE or TF is very specialized in some area, like, hey, I know the Azure infrastructure. I know the hypervisor. So we've had DEs and TFs promoted off of contributions to the hypervisor and the Windows kernel. So we're looking for other people that are in that area that are like, yeah, that person, they're the ones that came up with those ideas. They're the ones that have made these contributions. So it's a lot. And you might say that's popularity contest, but it's, again, a looking at all of this material together to try to get as objective. Like, ideally, this would just be a math problem. You just plug the numbers in, DE. Of course, that's not really the way things work. So there is judgment calls made, but we want to get as much objective information to support it as possible.
That made me feel like there's opportunities at the base of the pyramid, the hypervisor, concurrency algorithms, like, you could reinvent algebra. And then there's opportunities at the peak of the pyramid, which is highly specialized, coming up with something really fundamental, because the base of the peak of the pyramid ends up moving down. And, what today's peak is tomorrow's base that we're all going to build on top of.
Well, there's, again, like Playwright, for example, or VS Code. TF and Ds have been given for those those are individual contributions.
Yeah, that's a great point. Interesting. This must be Scott and Mark Learn to be Distinguished.
I thought we were already distinguished.
Oh, so nice.
I get.
All right, the bosses want us to wrap up.
All right.
So what did we discuss? What is our summary here? There's luck involved. There's individual contribution. There's doing the grind. You can't vibe your way into a storied career.
You can't say luck. You can't just making friends doesn't get you very far. Like, it can get you some ways, but at some point you need more than friends.
So coasting on charm at that level gets caught pretty quickly.
Yeah.
It might get you somewhere, but it's not going to get you all the way.
By contrast, if you're hard to get along with, that makes it much harder for you to get recognized and promoted.
Explains how you got here and you're the same level.
Nice.
I love our time together.
Yeah. Do you?
It's on my Connect. I'm required to enjoy this time. No, I do. I think it's important because I think, like, we've seen before in the comments, we have a comment. We have people from all over who watch the show and talk about the show. But what I think is good about us hanging out is that these are the conversations that we have that we just happen to have a camera on. And people are like, man, no one talks like this. No one tells us this stuff. I wish they would have told me that. Someone said the thing out loud. That kind of, those conversations are important, and I'm happy that we get to have them together.
Yeah, I agree.
Cool. Like and subscribe, kids. Smash that bell. Let us know if you like it in the chat.